I think you've got a very good case for an insurance claim against Charles there.
Yeah.
I mean, did it affect you in terms of running? They just changed the front wheel, the front wing, but those kind of things have been looking like they might happen with everybody having to scramble out the pits all season, really. And was it a bit frustrating for you? Disappointing even?
No, I mean, cost the team a bit of money, which is a shame.
Well, lucky you didn't take out your front suspension.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you're cool about it, because they've got to go and see the stewards. We'll see how that goes. Talk us about through the interrupted session there, Lando, for lots of different reasons. How was the balance? What do you still need to do?
Just a difficult day for me, not feeling too great with the car. Missing all of the feelings that I had here last year, so plenty of things to work on. Just a bad day.
Just the way this car is for you? I mean, compared to some recent races, Baku and Monza without...
ish. I mean, Oscar's great, so I got nothing to complain about, but just not doing a very good job.
How did all the red flags affect? Did you get any heavy fuel running, or did you just qualify?
No, nothing.
Okay. Might you do that in FP3, or just go into the race, see what happens?
Yeah, just wing it and go into the race.
Wing it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Why do you want to do continuous? I'm half a second off.
It's up to you, but I can probably make the car quicker if we do laps without DRS now.
Yeah, but my car's not half a second off, is it? My driving's half a second off.
Okay, we think we can find half a second now. Let's try. Right.
Secret details from Friday in Singapore put Lando Norris in the spotlight like never before. The McLaren driver delivered precision and control while rivals fell apart. Leclerc collided in the pit lane, Russell crashed, Lawson destroyed his car, but Norris was untouchable. The question is obvious: why is Norris thriving while others are stumbling? The recap of Singapore's first day is simple but powerful. Lando Norris delivered where others collapsed. He took a demanding street circuit that punished hesitation and turned it into an arena for control. His McLaren MCL40 looked precise, balanced, and sustainable across stints because he extracted the best from it with calm authority. Rivals gave the headlines with their mistakes, but Norris gave the substance with his mastery. This is the story that statistics alone cannot capture: leadership under pressure. From a technical standpoint, the contrast could not have been sharper. Norris produced laps that engineers describe as textbook, with minimal corrections and perfect tire management. Ferrari's Leclerc, in the same conditions, wasted opportunities with mistakes and indecision. Mercedes' Russell, instead of contributing, handed his team wreckage and confusion. Even Red Bull, so often untouchable, looked unsettled in traffic and failed to show the consistency Norris carried throughout the evening. The balance of control versus chaos defined the day, and Norris stood on the right side of that equation. McLaren's confidence grew with every lap he completed. His feedback was so clear and actionable that the engineers were able to shape strategy with certainty, something most teams lacked on Friday. Meanwhile, Ferrari wrestled with contradictions, Mercedes clung to Hamilton's data after Russell's crash, and Racing Bulls had to rebuild a broken car. In that context, Norris became McLaren's anchor, the driver who not only delivered speed but also gave his team direction in the middle of chaos. Psychologically, the implications were enormous. Norris radiated composure, his body language and communication setting him apart from rivals who looked nervous and frustrated. In Formula One, confidence is contagious, and the images from McLaren's garage reflected that. The team believed in his voice, trusted his judgment, and built their weekend plan around his consistency. Compare that to Ferrari, where engineers looked uncertain, or to Mercedes, where mechanics were repairing instead of preparing. The difference was night and day. The recap also underscored how Norris has matured. Once seen only as a rising star, he is now proving that he can lead through adversity. He did not chase glory laps, he built sustainable pace. He did not complain about traffic or red flags, he adapted. He did not fold under the demands of Marina Bay, he thrived. This ability to combine speed with intelligence is what separates contenders from champions, and Friday was a reminder that Norris belongs in the second category. So, when we look back at Singapore's opening act, the truth is clear. Norris shone, rivals stumbled. Norris created value, others created problems. Norris gave McLaren everything they needed, while Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull struggled to find answers. It was not about luck or circumstance, it was about composure, intelligence, and raw ability. And with that foundation, the stage was set for Norris to turn consistency into opportunity when the lights went out on Sunday. Friday night in Singapore revealed much more than just lap times, it revealed character. Under the floodlights of Marina Bay, chaos unfolded around every corner. George Russell pushed too hard and ended up in the barriers, Charles Leclerc collided recklessly in the pit lane, and Liam Lawson broke his suspension in dramatic fashion. Amidst this storm of errors, there was one driver who looked untouched by the chaos, Lando Norris. The leaked details of that opening day showed a young Briton delivering maturity and precision that rivals simply could not match. The McLaren MCL40 has been strong in recent weeks, but Singapore is a track that magnifies weaknesses. Its narrow walls, relentless traction zones, and constant braking demands punish even the smallest hesitation. Many faltered under that pressure, yet Norris thrived. His calm approach turned a dangerous night session into an exhibition of control. The cameras may have focused on crashes and red flags, but the unseen story was that Norris was quietly building rhythm, showing pace on every compound, and giving his engineers the information they needed most. The psychological gap was evident in the leaked footage and radio. Norris' voice was calm, clear, and constructive, pointing out balance shifts with accuracy and suggesting modest tweaks. In contrast, rivals were erratic. Russell apologized repeatedly, Leclerc vented frustration, and Ferrari engineers sounded more confused than decisive. Lawson, meanwhile, left his team repairing damage instead of analyzing data. It was a night that separated those who react under pressure from those who lead, and Norris established himself firmly in the second group. What makes this more striking is the context of Marina Bay itself. This circuit has ended championship dreams in the past, with its stop-and-go nature demanding perfection lap after lap. On Friday, very few delivered perfection, but Norris came close. His long runs on medium tires showed sustainable pace, his qualifying simulations were sharp, and his adaptability to changing track evolution was extraordinary. McLaren's engineers described his input as gold standard, an acknowledgement that Norris was not just providing data, he was shaping strategy. While others scrambled to regain rhythm after red flags, Norris adapted seamlessly. Each restart saw him bring tires into the correct temperature window with confidence, avoiding the wheelspin and lockups that plagued rivals. The difference was visible not only on the stopwatch but in body language. Norris looked composed in the cockpit, a driver in total harmony with his machine, while others looked unsettled, reactive, and distracted. The contrast could not have been clearer. One driver saw opportunity where others only saw obstacles. This opening day in Singapore set the tone for the entire weekend. Norris showed that he is not just capable of matching the best, but of surpassing them when conditions demand intelligence, composure, and adaptability. The crashes, the chaos, and the red flags were distractions. The real story was that Norris was writing his own narrative of control. And as the sun set on that Friday, the paddock could only wonder, if Norris was already this strong in practice, what would he unleash when the stakes rose in qualifying and on race day? The raw numbers of Friday confirmed what the eye could already see: Lando Norris was operating on a different level. His lap times were not just competitive, they were consistent across stints, revealing a rhythm that no rival could replicate. On both the soft and medium compounds, Norris delivered laps within incredibly tight margins, a sign of precision and balance. In a session where chaos dominated headlines, Norris' discipline became the real story. The numbers did not lie, McLaren had the data they needed because Norris had given them clarity. Compare this to Mercedes, and the contrast becomes brutal. George Russell's crash eliminated any meaningful data from his side of the garage, leaving his engineers with nothing but damage reports. Hamilton salvaged their evening, but Mercedes entered Saturday still unsettled. Ferrari looked no better. Leclerc's pit lane blunder disrupted his rhythm and raised doubts about his focus, while his feedback over the radio was described as inconsistent. In the middle of this chaos, Norris stood out as the calm center, providing information that McLaren could immediately use to refine their setup. Telemetry leaks painted the picture even more vividly. Norris' steering inputs were smooth and minimal, showing confidence in the MCL40's balance, while rivals like Verstappen were wrestling with oversteer and brake instability. Norris was able to repeat competitive laps under changing track conditions, demonstrating adaptability that others lacked. These are not just statistics, they are the hallmarks of a driver who understands the car's behavior instinctively. McLaren's engineers called his runs textbook, while Red Bull and Ferrari engineers admitted their drivers were struggling to find any consistency. The psychology of the session is just as important as the lap charts. Norris approached every run with calm professionalism, never panicked by red flags or traffic. Each interruption was treated as a reset, not a setback. In contrast, rivals grew frustrated, losing rhythm and wasting tires. This difference in mentality is critical at a circuit like Marina Bay, where patience and adaptability decide outcomes. Norris proved he is not just fast, he is mentally resilient, a quality that elevates good drivers into great ones. His long runs told the most encouraging story for McLaren. On mediums, where the MCL40 has occasionally struggled with degradation, Norris delivered laps that stayed competitive deep into the stint. Rivals lost pace as tires overheated, but Norris kept control, proving he could manage compounds with the maturity of a veteran. For a team fighting to turn promise into podiums, this was the perfect foundation. It meant that McLaren could approach strategy with confidence, knowing Norris had already done the hard work. By the end of Friday, the numbers revealed what rivals wished they could hide: Norris was the benchmark. His precision, his adaptability, and his control under pressure turned a chaotic day into a masterclass. The cameras may have focused on crashes and mistakes, but the true value came from Norris' data and consistency. That is why the paddock began to whisper, not about who had crashed, but about who had conquered. And this leads naturally to the deeper question: how did Norris unlock such stability in a car that others could not control under the same conditions? The technical secrets revealed by the data and footage of Friday practice show why Norris was the difference maker in Singapore. The McLaren MCL40 is a machine that demands precision. Its strength lies in aerodynamic efficiency, but it can be unforgiving in slow corners if handled without finesse. Where rivals like Ferrari and Mercedes struggled to maintain rear stability, Norris mastered the car with delicate steering corrections and seamless throttle application. The telemetry confirmed what the eye could see: Norris neutralized instability that unsettled others, proving that true control is as much about instinct as engineering. Low-speed traction zones, such as those in Sector 2, exposed the gap between Norris and the rest. These corners require careful balance between braking, turning, and acceleration, and Norris executed them with surgical precision. His inputs were measured, his corrections minimal, and his exits clean. By contrast, Ferrari's Leclerc suffered wheelspin, wasting traction, while Russell's Mercedes looked unpredictable under braking. Norris turned these weaknesses into strengths, carrying momentum where others bled time. This was not raw talent alone, it was technical intelligence applied in real time. Tire management further underlined Norris' superiority. The Singapore circuit is notorious for overheating rear tires, forcing drivers to back off and lose performance. Norris, however, managed temperatures like a master. He built tire heat gradually, avoided sudden spikes, and preserved grip throughout his stints. Red Bull, despite their pace, could not keep their compounds alive as effectively, while Ferrari once again found themselves outside the optimal window. Norris' calm approach meant McLaren could simulate long-run scenarios with accuracy, a luxury denied to most of their rivals. The leaked radio messages highlighted another critical element: feedback. Norris delivered observations that were both concise and actionable, describing exactly where the car needed balance adjustments. Slight understeer mid-corner, traction good on exits, these were the kinds of comments that allowed engineers to fine-tune the MCL40 efficiently. Compare that to rivals. Leclerc's complaints were frustrated and vague, Russell's input after his crash was non-existent, and Lawson left his team with nothing but broken suspension. Norris gave McLaren direction, while others gave their teams headaches. Even in moments of disruption, Norris stood apart. Red flags in traffic caused chaos for many, yet Norris adapted seamlessly. He prepared tires correctly during interruptions, rejoined the circuit with rhythm intact, and resumed pace as if nothing had happened. Verstappen complained of grip, Leclerc lost focus, and Russell admitted confusion. Norris, in contrast, used every restart as an opportunity to refine his understanding of track evolution. That kind of composure under irregular conditions is what transforms practice laps into strategic weapons. The deeper truth revealed by these technical details is that McLaren were not building their weekend around the car, they were building it around Norris. His control, his adaptability, and his feedback created a platform no rival could match. While others faltered and blamed machinery, Norris proved that the driver still makes the ultimate difference. This set the stage for the dramatic twist that would leave the paddock talking, the quiet acknowledgement inside McLaren and beyond that Norris had already become the team's greatest asset, the man turning potential into performance. The dramatic twist of Singapore's first day did not come from the lap charts, but from what the leaked internal communications revealed inside McLaren. Engineers, speaking candidly off record, admitted that Norris had given them more usable data than the rest of the grid combined. His feedback was described as surgical, calm and complete, a direct contrast to the desperation spilling out of rival garages. Ferrari were scrambling after Leclerc's pit lane blunder, Mercedes had nothing but apologies from Russell after his crash, and Red Bull struggled with balance in traffic. In the middle of this storm, Norris was the only driver turning laps into solutions. The leaked audio highlighted just how precise Norris had been. Instead of vague frustrations, he asked for fine adjustments, a touch more front wing here, a minor shift in brake bias there. Engineers could act immediately, confident in the reliability of his observations. Compare this to Leclerc, whose radio messages were panicked and contradictory, or to Russell, whose accidents silenced his feedback completely. Norris' calm voice became the soundtrack of control at Marina Bay, the kind of presence that transforms a team's mindset from reactive to proactive. The twist also revealed the changing hierarchy within the paddock. While the cameras focused on Verstappen's frustrations and Ferrari's drama, McLaren quietly built their entire race weekend around Norris. Insiders reported that his data alone had been enough to draft both qualifying strategy and long-run simulations. This was extraordinary not only because of his youth, but because it exposed how heavily one team now leaned on his ability to lead. Norris was no longer just a promising talent, he was the foundation of McLaren's future. Meanwhile, the struggles of others only magnified his brilliance. Russell's crash drained Mercedes of time, Leclerc's mistakes rattled Ferrari, and Lawson's broken suspension left his team in pieces. Red Bull, though still quick, appeared unsettled under the unique demands of Marina Bay, complaining about grip windows and traffic. Against this backdrop, Norris stood out as the one driver who adapted, controlled, and delivered consistency. The twist was brutal but clear, while others destroyed their chances, Norris built his. Psychologically, this was even more significant. McLaren's engineers spoke of renewed confidence, describing Norris' leadership as stabilizing in a session that could have easily unraveled. Rivals, hearing these admissions, understood the implications. A driver who can lead through chaos at a street circuit like Singapore is not just fast, he is dangerous in the best sense of the word. It meant that if rivals continued to falter, Norris had the mental strength and technical intelligence to capitalize on their every mistake. What made the twist unforgettable was how Norris himself reacted. In interviews, he remained composed, speaking modestly about rhythm and patience, never overplaying his hand. Yet anyone watching closely could see the truth. Norris had already dictated the narrative of Friday. He had established himself as the steady hand in chaos, the driver whose value went far beyond raw speed. And with that, the paddock faced the next question: how would this composure and dominance translate into Saturday qualifying and, ultimately, Sunday under the lights?